today we're going to be working on this 2010 Chevy Silverado, just normal half-ton with the 5.3 in it. We're going to be putting the driver's side wheel bearing in it. I already replaced that one, but we're going to kind of run you guys through how to replace one on the driver's side. I'm going to kind of take you through the long process of what I did. So let's go ahead and dig into it, and let's get started. Alright guys, so first things first, took the tire off. It's a 22 millimeter, torque them to 140, so you're going to need a little bit of torque to get that off. Or a little bit. I like to kind of turn the rotor and the wheel kind of towards me so that I can get access at it better. While you've still got the caliper on, take this little, it's going to be a T30 torques. So first things first, gotta take that out. Be careful not to strip that, because that, if it gets stripped, it is a son of a gun. You have to get the grinder out or the Dremel and grind it out. Alrighty, once we got that out, next thing we're going to need to do is, on the back side here, there are more bolts. They're going to be 19s. Let me find my 19. So get your 19 millimeter socket out. Good little wrench, get that on there. Make sure to loosening it. Break those loose. Sometimes you might need to. It's actually another. This bolt bolts into the pin, which the pin has actually a little bit of a hex to it as well, which is also a 19, I believe. But that sometimes you need to hold it if it's not snug on there. But a lot of times they're snug enough to kind of just hold themselves. So that's the top one. There's also one on the bottom. I like to actually take the caliper and kind of push it. That'll kind of give you a little more slack. It'll push the pistons back. And then when you pull this off, you got to be very careful not to kink this or rip it or anything. This is the brake line. It's a flexible line, so it's really obviously flimsy kind of and can easily be broken. On these 2010 Silverados, I think there's a few years that are like this. What I like to do is just carefully flip the rotor or flip the caliper around and just set the hooks of the front right on the actual sway bar, and it sets right on there perfect. So I like to slip the pads out. Real quick. I like slipping those out because sometimes you're screwing around trying to take bolts out or something, and they'll fall on the ground and they'll actually break. What you'll need to do next is take this cap off, which there's no great way to do it, honestly. I've found that a tiny hammer and like just a screwdriver, or if you have like a really thin chisel, you can kind of pick away at the top of it and kind of get it to like push back on itself. Next, we need to go back here a little ways and take a look at the back of the caliper bracket. So, this here is one of the bolts for the caliper bracket. There's also one down lower right here that we'll be needing to removing. This one is an 18 millimeter, which is just one size smaller than the 19s that we just took out. These ones you might need a little bit bigger wrench or ratchet. Sometimes they're on there. Yep, that one's on there pretty good. They torqued those pretty good. Oh yeah, that one was real tight. One broke loose. Oh, dropped the socket. I'm going to skip on to the next one. Oh! Them puppies are always on there. Oh, now we can get the ratcheting wrench. Go a little quicker at it. I like to, once they start getting about hand tight or so, just like pretty easy to get at, I like to leave them still in there though, because then you can kind of wrench on this one a little bit better as well. Alright. There are 3 bolts on the back side of the wheel bearing. You can kind of see the head sticking out right here. They're back, or not the head, the end of it. Here, see one there. There's going to be one here. You can see me pointing at it here. And then there's also one down right there. Now, those are 15 millimeters. Be careful not to mess up the boot on the back of the CV axle. Done that a few times, and it's not a fun fix. So, get those off real quick. Oh, god damn. Oh, that was one. Alrighty. We got all those out now. So, go ahead and lay those on your bench. Best way I'm going to do is just whack on the back side of it here. And hopefully she'll kind of pop loose for us. So, let's try that. There she is. And just kind of wiggle her out. Try not to pull on the CV too much. Grab your plate that you took off. Make sure that it's straight again. What you're going to want to do is line up that little, they'll make a little window for where the sensor sits. And also all the other bolts holes will line up perfectly. So, right up on the splines. Get it around until it's actually on the splines. Make sure that this isn't kinked or pinched. If it will, it might not make good connection, and then that's a problem. Grab your 3 wheel bearing bolts on the back. Slip those guys in. Alright, now that those are all tight, we can move on. Get it connected back together, and then once you got your wheel bearing bolts on the back tight, you can go ahead and start putting stuff back together. I like to just slip that on so I don't forget about it. Next thing I probably should do is throw the rotor back up on, like so. Easier said than done, right? Alright. Put your bracket back up on here. Alright. I still need to put the brake pads on. So, if you're wondering, basically the pad that has the little, it's almost, I don't even know what to call that, but this one forms right around the pad itself. It kind of curves. This one has like a flat bottom on the inside. This one is actually going to be inside pad. You can remember that when you take them off, or if you're putting, if you forget or whatever, that's the inside pad. So to bring this guy back over, and be careful again with that brake line, or brake hose, my bad. Slip him over. Get your bolts back into that. Those again are a 19. 19. Tighten it up again. Like I said, you might have to hold this. This one, luckily I don't, because for some reason it's staying by itself. But just kind of tighten those. You don't want to. They are just aluminum, so you don't want to tighten them too much, but enough to not lose the caliper going down the road. Last thing we need to do is put our screwdriver back in there, and now these are supposed to be torqued to, I believe, 175 or 177, some weird number like that. What that does is that seats the bearings together, makes it all good snug. Now all you gotta do is slap the wheel on, torque the lug nuts to 140.